Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, this video is going in a direction that I don't even recognize, but we're just gonna push through because, okay, I sit down to film this video. I'm so excited because I've never done a video that's solely based on a concealer, and when I saw this L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer, I'm like, girl, we need a full video, we need the tea, we need a wear test, we need to know what we are thinking here. And because I've heard so many things. I've heard like, wow, the coverage is amazing. Wow, the shades are great. It's a Shape Tape dupe. Like I've seen some stuff and I'm like, okay, we're going to sit down. So I get in my box, which I had overnighted from Ulta, and I ordered the latest 3 shades, Porcelain, Eggshell, and Ivory. And I open it up and I'm like, oh, we're missing one. So I called Ulta, by the way. The lady was super, super sweet, and she's like, look, we will overnight you one out tomorrow. I'm really sorry. And I was like, it's okay, girl. I got other stuff I can film. This is a scheduled video. Like, it has to go up by a certain time, otherwise I will cry. But we're going to get through it. And then I was like, okay, I still have to play with these today. Because now that I've looked at them, I need to touch them, and I need to do that on camera. So basically, we're going to have like a little two-parter. I'm going to wear one today. When we get that shade in, I'm going to wear it. And the sad part is that the shade that's missing is my shade because it's the lightest, which is Porcelain. And I always am like the lightest shade of everything because I look like snow. So with that being said, I still have the other 2 lightest shades, which are Eggshell and Ivory, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to open them up and we are going to experience this. And I mean, let's just really draw in some tea. This is a Shape Tape. Hello, like we're getting in there. We're getting after that cylinder. We're getting that shape. We're getting that girth. We're going for it. And I could not be more excited. I love Shape Tape. Typically, as of late, I've been loving the shade Porcelain Beige in Shape Tape. Fun fact, once they expanded that shade range, I was like, oh girl, there's a new lightest shade. Let me have some. And so I've been back into the Shape Tape hardcore, loving and obsessing over it. And I'm excited to see how do these ones stack up from L'Oreal. So let's go ahead and grab the shade Eggshell and let's swatch it. Oh my God, it even looks like Shape Tape. Wait, what? I haven't filmed my inserts for you guys yet, and I feel like this is a moment right here. And you know what? This video is going all kind of crazy anyway, so why don't we just zoom you in and like do it right now? Let's just do it. I'm not even going to insert it. Let's just get crazy. I'm not going to insert it. Did that sound dirty? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at these applicators. So here is L'Oreal. And here is Shape Tape. Oh, shut up. I'm sorry. Who are you? Yeah, okay. We're going for something here, L'Oreal, and I think we all know what it is. These are literally almost the exact same in every way. Like, what? Oh my God, it actually looks like the L'Oreal one might hold a little bit more product at the end, but it might be just because it's brand new, so maybe it's like pooling right there. But seriously, that is so funny. Okay, all right. Now let's go ahead while we're at it. This is Porcelain Beige from Shape Tape. And then next up we have Eggshell from L'Oreal, which is right here. Looks a little bit more yellow in undertone than the fair or the Porcelain Beige. And then lastly we have the shade Ivory in the L'Oreal as well. So not too bad. That's still not that dark even for being the 3rd shade. Do I have another? I think I have another Shape Tape. Yeah, let's grab Shape Tape in the shade Fair just to see how it stacks up. Oh, okay. It actually looks like Shape Tape in the shade Fair, which I just put over here, is almost identical to the shade Eggshell in L'Oreal. So those are pretty close. It's looking a little bit brighter on camera, but in real life, they're looking very similar. All right, so I went ahead and I zoomed the camera out because sometimes the coloring is a little more even back here. And then I'm going to grab the shade Fair Neutral as well from Tarte Shape Tape, just so we have all of our good colors. I'll throw that one on this side. So I went ahead and I set the shade Fair Neutral from Tarte right here just to give us one more comparison. So we have Fair Neutral, we have Fair, and then Porcelain Beige. Those are all from Tarte, and then these 2 right here are the shades I have from L'Oreal. And this shade actually looks like a nice in-between of the 2 shades I have from the L'Oreal side. Now obviously I don't have on any foundation, and that's because I didn't want to give anything a chance to like settle in and wreck the concealer, you know. I wanted to give everything like a fair fresh shot. So I did go ahead and prime and prep my skin. I used the Tatcha Silk Canvas, and then I gave it a couple spritzes of my Smashbox water primer because I love that stuff. So now for foundation, I'm just going to go in with the Dior Skin Glow. You guys will have just seen the video of this, but I will link it up here. I'm actually really excited to keep playing with this. It wore so beautifully. So I'm going to go in with some of this. And then to this, I'm going to add just a tiny bit of my Catrice Full Coverage in 010. And that's mainly just so I have a little bit more coverage. Plus, I want to play around with the undertone and the depth of the foundation because I know that this concealer isn't going to be as light as I would normally go. So I'm just going to mix these together here on the back of my hand and then apply it. All right, so now it's time for the L'Oreal concealer. I'm going to use the shade Eggshell, which is 325. It is the second to lightest shade, and I think, like, if I'm being realistic, this is probably the closest out of the two to my skin tone. Let's go ahead and do it on that other eye. Oh my god, Lord. Guys, this is really creamy. It applies very similar to Shape Tape. I am going to take a little bit of this as well and kind of use it where I would just use my concealer normally, because we're testing it, girl. We want to know if she works everywhere, not just one spot. The eyes are great and everything, but like, does it highlight that jawbone? We gonna find out. Okay, so I'm liking it, and as we're setting down, first of all, blend it in with my foundation stunningly, number one. Number two, now we're starting to dry down a little bit on the under eye, and we're drifting more toward that matte. Now I'm gonna use one of my tried and true powders, not something I'm testing, not something that I just started using a month ago. I'm gonna go in with the Big Bopper. This is the Maybelline Fit Me in 05 Fair, the loose version. This is like, no matter what, I know if something works, if it works good with this. Like, if you can't hang with my Maybelline, you can't hang. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. So we're going to go ahead and use this. So I will be using the Marc Jacobs The Conceal Brush. It's a really nice slanted little brush, and I use this one a lot lately with my powders under my eye, especially if they're loose powders, because I know I'm not going to get too much. I'm not going to over powder. I'm not going to under powder. It's usually just the right amount. So what I'm going to do is actually go in one last time here with my little sponge. I'm going to bounce it out, and I usually set one side at a time. And I didn't mention this before. Sorry, guys. I told you when I get excited, I have no brain. But this concealer from L'Oreal is $12.99, and you get 0.33 fluid ounces, which, just for comparison, the Tarte has 0.3381. So it's almost, or basically, the exact same amount. So far, these are pretty similar. Wait, how much is Shape Tape these days? Guys, I can't lie. I haven't purchased Shape Tape and paid full price in I don't know how long. Like, last time I bought it, it was because it was 40% off on the Tarte website, so I bought 4 of them. Like, I haven't bought it full price in a very long time. Oh my god, it's $27? Okay, I legit did think it was like $22. Wow. Okay, so the one from L'Oreal is more than half that, or less than half the price. Wow. Okay, see, this is even more important as to why we need to know if this is good. Okay. Yeah, see, now it's not so silly. Now it's game on. Game on like Donkey Kong. All right, you guys, so I went ahead, I threw on the rest of the makeup, and let me just dive right in here. So I happened to look in the box that I had from Ulta, and I picked up a couple other things from L'Oreal, and I'm like, I need to try these. So I figured I might as well throw them in this video, and the first one that I tested out was this weird-ass mascara. It's the Unlimited mascara. First of all, look at the bottle. Second of all, I've never seen a mascara with like a ball bearing right here. Like, do you see this? It is so interesting. Like, this whole mechanism, first of all, let me just show you. Do you see this? Okay. Very wiggly freaking mascara, like very malleable, very movable end on this. But then you can also click it down and create this angle, which is like lower lash line. I didn't grab any inserts of this because I wasn't thinking about it, but I did film like a little Instagram get ready with me moment. So you can go ahead and check that out, or maybe you will have already seen it. I'm not sure which is going to go up first, but I did film a little like woohoo get ready with me on Instagram. It's like one of those 1-minute videos. So you'll see me use it in that clip if you follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, you should be, and it's listed down below. And then the other thing I tried from L'Oreal was this guy right here. This is their Rouge Signature Matte Lip Ink, and I was like, what is this? At first I thought it was like a regular liquid lipstick. You take it out the tube, it's got this really nice applicator, everything's great. And then I'm like, as I'm putting it on my lips, I was like, this color is so bizarre. Well, I swatched it on my hand and I couldn't remove it. So then I'm like, okay, wait, I have to go to the website. What am I even playing with? And then I learned that this is meant to be a lightweight ink where there's basically a stain, but it's meant to feel like your bare lips, but with color, but be matte. It is so bizarre. So I'm going to go off of camera. I will do the rest of my day. Obviously, I will stop back. We're going to see how it wears, if it's breaking apart, anything to that effect, and then we'll go from there, because this video, girl, she's not like any other video. I don't even know what this is anymore. Who am I? What's my name? I don't know. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to go do the day, and we're going to wing it, because sometimes that's okay too. So I will be right back. Okay, you guys, so I have been wearing all of this makeup for about 8.5 hours, and here's the deal. I'm gonna wear it again a couple more times, and I'm gonna do an update in this video because I'm a little perplexed, and it's nothing I can show you on video. Like, I was trying to bring it in and like show you what I was talking about, and I can't get you at the right angle, but this eye underneath, totally normal, no breakage, no creasage. This eye has breakage and creasage, and they were both set, primed, everything with the exact same products. So actually, I think what I'm going to do is I will table where we are at right now. I'm going to, obviously, you will have seen like the up close of me right now, and I don't hate what's like going on here. I don't have any issues with it, other than this under eye, and I want to know if it's a fluke or if this eye is a fluke. But as far as the rest of my face, like my planes still look pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm actually going to table this conversation, and I will stop back on a day or two or however many later, and I want to talk some more about this concealer and how it's working and all of that. So I'll see you guys here shortly. Oh, hello, beautiful, fabulous people. Guys, it has been several wears. It has been several days. It has been several experiences between me and this concealer later, and I think I have enough information now that I wanted to bring it to you and release it into the informational pool that we love here on my channel. So I'm going to go ahead and just start off by saying that, do I think this is a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape? No, I do not. I think it has a lot of similarities to Tarte Shape Tape that I can 100% see. I can understand why people would feel that way. They are very similar in the look and the feel as far as the amount of product, the size of the bottle, the size of the doe foot applicator, things like that. There are tons and tons of similarities there. And overall, even the feel of them is very similar. They both feel almost cooling when you put them on, which is a very nice feeling. They both have the same consistency when you put them on, which is a nice kind of lightweight, very viscous, blendable fluid, which I love. Now, the first main difference, aside from all of that, is the coverage. I actually was so shocked when I applied them side by side, which is what I did today. The difference in coverage was astonishing to me. So if you consider Tarte Shape Tape to be like a full coverage concealer, I'm going to tell you this is maybe like 60 to 70% of the coverage of Tarte Shape Tape. So it is a nice medium concealer. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. Like, it's a beautiful coverage, but it is not Tarte Shape Tape. When I applied both side by side, on this side of my face, I went in with the shade 325 in the Infallible concealer, and on this side I went in with the Porcelain Beige from Tarte Shape Tape. And what really shocked me is that when they were both blended, on the Tarte Shape Tape side, I couldn't see any of the blue bag that I get under my eye, but on this side, when I was up close, which my camera died, so I don't have an up close shot of, I apologize, but you could still see that faint blue bag line that I get under this eye, and I was really shocked by that, because for everything else being so similar, when you blend them out, they really are quite different. So that's the first difference, is coverage. This is only, in my opinion, a medium coverage. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because is it buildable? Yes, it's buildable. However, would I build it? No. I have worn this multiple ways, both sheared out and then all the way to built up and completely full coverage. I think if you build this up and you wear it as full coverage, it gets very cakey and very drying on your under eye. Holy crap, does this look dry on my under eye. If I wore more than like one little whoop whoop whoop, one little thin triangle of it, so drying. Like, more drying than I ever thought possible. And you guys know, I've talked before about Tarte Shape Tape and how that's kind of drying on my skin, but for the most part, it's not that bad. Well, as my skin has changed and I went from being super oily to more normal to oily, even Tarte Shape Tape sometimes can look a little bit drying on my skin, so I have to go in with less of it. And this was more dry than that, which was just astonishing. So that's a good place to start. Now, the less of it I used, the less dry it looked, which is good, because I think that that'll help make it a little bit more attainable for even those of you with dry skin or normal to dry skin. I think it still is something you could use, but you'll want to be very mindful with how much of it you use and if you choose to build it up. So something to consider. And that brings us into how you set this. Now, this was a really, really, really tricky thing to get the hang of with this particular concealer. I haven't had, again, this much of like a learning curve with a concealer in a minute. So I found that when I was going in and setting it down, it's not the type of concealer that I could go in with like a beauty blender and really press the product onto it too much. It was too much of this product and it would get really cakey and really stuck together, and it literally broke apart in the lines of like my under eye bags immediately. I wouldn't even have my makeup done and my under eye concealer would be crap. So I could not use a sponge to apply my under eye powder. No dice. Also, it made it look even more like chunky and cakey and dry than it should. So what I found the best way to apply this is to go in, pat it out, but pat it out as little as possible, because with this concealer, every time you pat it out, you are lifting a little bit of coverage. So I had to go in, apply it, and then pat it out, and then directly after patting it out, I had to pat it in with some powder. Now, that was something that, in my opinion, was best done with a tiny little brush. Similar to this brush right here, this is the Sigma Precision Round P82 brush, and I love this because it's a very nice, dense little poop, poop, poop kind of brush, and this works perfectly because it doesn't pick up too much product, ergo it doesn't deposit a ton of product on your under eye, and this was just the perfect way to get the right amount of powder in there. So I would dive into like my Maybelline Fit Me loose powder or my Maybelline pressed powder. Either way, I've really been loving this pressed one in 100, the matte and poreless. This is like my jam, and I would get in here, get a little bit, tap it back off so I had just a nice amount on top of but not packed into the brush, and then I would go in and I would really open up the under eye and get this right into it, set it all down, and then be done. Then later on, when I set my whole face, I would very, very, very lightly go in with like a larger powder brush, and when I was dusting off the rest of my powder, I would take one sweep and kind of get any excess powder out that was there that I didn't want there. You don't want to go in and move it around a ton because this concealer will continue to move. So don't get in there and be all crazy and like sweep it around all willy-nilly. You're going to want to get in there, pat it out as little as possible with your beauty blender, get it nice and wrinkle-free, set it down, leave it alone. That's my biggest piece of advice with this. Now, the second thing I think is key in that respect is making sure you go in with very thin, nicely milled powders. Nothing that is too thick. Don't go in with excess layers, which for me, as you guys know, a lot of times I'll go in and I will do my under eye, so I'll set it down with like my Maybelline Fit Me, whatever, and then I go in, I do the rest of my face, and then after my face is done, I like to go back in with a brightening powder, like my Essence Brighten Up, and I really like to highlight that area. And what I found is that when I go in and I apply this after I'm all said and done, it still does make the under eye on top of this concealer look very thick and very matte and just very dusty all of a sudden. And I think it's because this concealer is so dry that adding any excess powder on top of it is just a no-go. It makes it too dry. It makes it too matte. And so if you are the type of person that has dry skin, just be very, very mindful, but overall be mindful of this in general, because I think it's a very easy concealer to over mattify, to over powder, and to overwork. Now, that being said, if this is something that you leave alone, it does have its beautiful points. Now, at this point, I feel like I've kind of painted a really negative picture of this concealer, and that's not the case at all. This is not a bad concealer. I just think that it's one that you really have to get to know. You have to learn how you like it. You have to learn how it best fits on your face. And once you figure that out, honestly, it is a beautiful option to have in your repertoire. And the last thing that I want to mention with this concealer specifically that I've never really noticed with another concealer, this is very finicky as far as what you set it on top of. Meaning if you are like foundationing your face and you tend to take your foundation like up under your eye or anything like that, do not do that with this concealer. It does not like it. So definitely something to play around with. Be mindful what you set it on top of, I guess, is the moral of my story. The last thing I want to throw out there is this on the other areas of the face. I didn't have any issues. None of the issues that I just mentioned as far as like the dry formula and this and that. I had no issues with that stuff anywhere else but my under eye. I put it on the planes of my face, like right here, around the mouth, on the forehead, like all those places. No issues. It blended out great. It sets down. It lasts very well. no problems. So a lot of this is very specific to your under eye area and how it will lighten and brighten and mattify that area. So again, something to keep an eye on. So I guess all in all, if you're the type of person that you want to give it a shot, I don't think you would be disappointed. Again, I think this was like $10, $11.99, something like that, which was weird too, because I was actually confused. There's only like what, a $1 or $2 price difference between this new Infallible concealer and then the new Infallible foundation. Like, was that weird to anybody else? I was like, wait a second, how much is this and how much is that? Which, by the way, I'm just going to throw that out there. That Infallible foundation from L'Oreal, I did a full review of it. I will link it up here. That is a beautiful foundation. I can talk more about that in an updates video, but as far as a foundation at the drugstore, it is stunning, just so you know. But I was really shocked, was the moral of my story, that the price difference, like what, $1 or $2 between that giant ass bottle of foundation and this little concealer. I was like, okay, that's interesting. But all in all, everything set aside, do I think this is a good concealer? Yes. I think that it has a lot of really nice, strong points. I do think it's worth checking out because some people that have maybe more normal skin or that don't have like a strong side to their skin, all the way dry or all the way oily or something like that. I have noticed a lot of people saying that this worked identical to Tarte Shape Tape for them. So do I think this is like worth a gamble? Yeah, it's at the drugstore. I mean, it's $12, $13. I do think it's worth checking out. You can grab it at Ulta, and if you grab it there, at least it does have a decent return policy if you don't like it. So I think it's worth checking out. It's not something that I would just completely get rid of just because. I do think it has a lot of great points. And even if you just were like wanting to wear it for like light sparse coverage on your face, even that would be worth it in my opinion, because it does have decent coverage and it wears very nicely on the face. So something to consider there as well. These do have a very light smell to them as well. Like, they're not bad. It's almost like when you first put it on, you're kind of like, ooh, what is that? Like chemical floral? But then it's just a very, very light floral perfumey smell. Like, it's not overwhelming at all. It's not something like I notice lingering on my face or anything, but if you're sensitive to smells or your skin is sensitive to fragrance, something to note because there is fragrance in this. So 320, which is the lightest shade porcelain, the one that just showed up, definitely has a little bit more of like a neutral to pink undertone. 325, which is the one I have been wearing, is next up right here. It does have a little bit more of like a yellow warmth kind of undertone to it. I noticed that it worked fine for me and like my complexion. It wasn't like a stark difference, a stark undertone, nothing like that. It's actually a very, very subtle difference between the two, which I think is good. I think it's nice to have a subtle undertone difference for people that have subtle undertones in their skin. And concealer, especially when it's going up under the eye, is a really difficult one to play with. So I thought that was really nice. And then 330 is obviously the darkest concealer from this line that I have, which is definitely more on like the very warm and yellow undertone spectrum. So I think overall we have a good little swatcheroo going on. Okay, you guys, that is it for this video. I really hope that it was helpful. I noticed that on the internet there wasn't a ton of like breakdown information on this concealer, and so I wanted to kind of come on here, give you guys as much information as I could and really take my time with this, because I think when worn correctly, at least for me, this has been working pretty well. It does last throughout the day, and that's a long stretch from the first time I wore it where it was absolute trash and it didn't even last 20 minutes. So I definitely think this is something I'm glad that I worked into, and it's something I'm glad that I can kind of hang out with you guys, go through, talk about, swatch, and all of that. And be sure to let me know down below what you think of this video, because e.l.f. may have just released a concealer that I'm like dying to get my little paws on, and I really think I like concealer reviews. Like, who would have known? I think that I might consider this almost up there with a foundation review. Like, it's getting there. I really enjoyed this. So anyways, let me know your guys' thoughts down below. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Would you be interested in more? And while you're down there leaving me all of those fabulously informative comments, you can scoot on up to the description box and you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook. And they're all linked down below, like I said, in the description box, as well as any other products or anything like that that are on my face that I mention. Those are always down there as well. And you guys can also subscribe if you haven't already and turn on your notifications, because guys, I put up new videos 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. They go up bright and early, around 6 to 7 my time, which is northern Michigan. So girl, bright and early, have some coffee, get yourself settled in, and enjoy some makeup with me every day, 5 days a week, because it's a good, fun, fresh lit time over here, and I would hate for you to miss it. So subscribe, turn on your notifications, and that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Sock puppets, I love sock puppets. There's no sock, it's just your hands. Oh my god, I need to go to bed so bad. Well, hello, beautiful, fantastic people. How are you? I hope you're having... What? how are you? What are you saying? Where he's like, oh girl, you thought you were gonna do like a cute, you know what I was trying to say? Quick. You know what I ended up saying? This is nice, Paige. Good job.